Imagine yourself a carriage pulled down the road by a team of horses. For the longest time there is no one to guide them but the driver, and he has come to believe that he owns the carriage. Then one day, a soft voice from inside the carriage whispers, "Stop the carriage." At first the driver doesn't hear the voice, but again it repeats, "Stop the carriage." Unable to believe his ears, the driver whips his horses until they race even more wildly ahead. But the inner voice doesn't use force. It doesn't protest. It only continues to repeat softly, "Stop." That is what is happening inside you. The carriage is yourself, the driver is the ego, the voice inside the carriage is spirit. When spirit softly announces its presence, the ego at first doesn't listen, because it is so certain that its power is absolute. But spirit doesn't need the kind of power that ego is used to. Spirit is simply the quiet voice of being, asserting what is. With the birth of the seeker, this is the voice you start to hear for the first time.
I am a pattern of chaos and order. Swirling atoms of oxygen enter my blood with every breath. Teeming enzymes and proteins are the tide and flood of my cells. Electrical neuronal storms that never cease blast and echo in the endless corridors of my mind. Is this chaos another face of order? The same tugs of gravity that created dancing stars are holding these minuscule strands of DNA, enfolding and unfolding the memories of evolutionary time. We are fooled by appearances. The uncertainty I feel inside me is my doorway to freedom. I'm alive now. I have become unpredictable and odd. Thinking, deciding, choosing, and feeling, I offer these to the automatic side of my brain. And at last, after eons of struggle and pain, I'm learning to surrender to God. Even though the voice of spirit is silent, it is real. And it announces that there is a higher reality. Some people might think that seekers must be rare, given how strongly we are all attached to ego needs and the material world where these needs get fulfilled. But everyone is born to know spirit. Seeking, however, is a completely inward experience. You cannot tell from outer signs who is seeking in his heart and who isn't. You will know that you've transformed into a seeker by certain inner signs. A growing enjoyment of solitude, self-reliance in place of social approval, stirrings of being, and a willingness to trust. Addictive patterns will start to disappear. Meditation and prayer become parts of daily life. As all these spiritual manifestations pull you away from the material world, you will find paradoxically a deeper connection to nature, more comfort in your body, and easier acceptance of other people. This is because spirit is not the opposite of matter. Spirit includes everything. Now we are in the most beautiful stages of alchemy, because from this point on, your higher self expresses itself more and more until you are the higher self. The joyful part of the journey thus begins with the 6th step.
I have told you that the seeker's aim is to see, and soon this happens. The 6th step, the birth of the seer, is just below the surface of any seeker. By itself, seeking carries no fulfillment. It would be a dry and frustrating life if you were only to seek without finding. Fortunately, in the divine plan, all questions carry their answers within them. Once you truly ask, "Where is God?" you will see a response. I don't want to mislead you here. The birth of the seer is just as revolutionary as any of the earlier steps. It spells the end of the ego's ability to identify with anything outside yourself. The seer sees through money, fame, and power. Imagine that your life is a moving picture broadcast upon a white screen. As long as you are dominated by ego, you focus on the moving images and take them to be real. Outward images merged into self-image. With the birth of the seer, you turn and face the light. Now self-image is seen for what it is, a flimsy appearance made real by the ego's desperate needs. You also realize that your body itself has been an image. Instead of seeing yourself as a machine of flesh and blood with a spirit inside, now you realize that everything is spirit. The body is spirit in physical form, which the senses can touch, see, and smell. The mind is spirit in thought form, that can be heard and understood. However, spirit itself is more than these. It is seen truly only by the seer.
There is a saying in India that applies to the soul. Those who know it speak of it not. Those who speak of it know it not. What makes spirit so mysterious is that you have to be a seer before you actually see it. Why? If I see this chair, my senses tell me that it is hard, square, perhaps sharp at the corners, and brown. But spirit isn't hard or soft, round or square. It isn't any color. It isn't here or there, before or after. Spirit has no qualities our ordinary senses can pick up. Yet, it is like an energy field that is universal and ever-present. This field contains pure intelligence, pure awareness, and out of it everything is made. You can make an infinity of things, even an infinity of universes, and still the amount of spirit will not be reduced by a single atom. So the seer isn't really seeing anything with the eyes. He's realizing the truth that all is spirit. When you refer to a rock, you can see and touch it and form a mental image of it. When I speak of spirit, however, I'm pointing to an invisible world. Arrows of light fly to us from that world and ignite our souls, but we cannot send arrows of thought back. That sounds very mystical, but a rose would be mystical if you could only think about it and never experience one. Spirit is a direct experience, only it happens to transcend this world of visible, solid things. When you gain knowledge of anything in the visible world, you gain knowledge of something. When you gain knowledge of spirit, you become knowingness itself. All questions cease because you find yourself in the womb of creation, where everything simply is. There is a great peace that comes to you in this stage of growth. When the eye of the seer falls on something, it is simply accepted for what it is, not judged. There is no ego need to conquer or possess or destroy. In the absence of fear, no such motivations arise, for needing to possess is born of lack. When you have no lack to fill, then just being here in your body is the highest spiritual goal you could possibly attain. Spontaneous living becomes possible for the first time. There's a lovely story from Merlin about that.